Hello, people. Back again here with Dania. I'm gonna wait a minute before we start. I just start a little earlier here just to see if everything was okay with sound connection, and then we can start going through the questions. Just a second, people. "30 seconds and we kick it off." Hope everyone is okay. If you guys have questions, you know the drill, already write in the comments. All right, people. Good evening. Nice to be here with you again. Felipe here, back here with Dania, helping me out here with positions, with explaining, with answering questions. So as I've been explaining, we are not doing the solo drills this week. All right, we're gonna resume the solo drills afterwards. If you guys are focusing on solo drills, you can watch all of the videos that we have on the channel. There's a bunch of them, I think more than 20 right now. Today we're answering questions. So as usual, either 5 questions or 30 minutes, whatever happens first. All right, so again, guys, if you have any questions, could be anything jiu-jitsu related, could be about a technique, about a concept, about my opinion on a specific topic, about the gym or whatever. Ask on the chat. I just write it right there, and I'm gonna answer. Katarina actually asked 3 questions on Facebook, so I'm gonna start by answering those questions right now. Okay. Just so you know as well, next week we're developing on something new. Right? We're also doing the solo drills, but I want to do something else to engage you a little bit more. Okay, guys, so we can start getting something more than just simply doing drills. There's a lot more that we can get, even though we can actually train. There's a lot that we can do. Right? So we are going to the first one. Just a second. Okay, so Katarina was asking, she had a question because she says that when she was rolling, she experienced 2 situations. So it's actually 2 questions, not 1. But okay, 2 situations. She says that either she is in someone's guard, she manages to escape, and then after a while, she finds herself back in the guard. Why is that happening? All right, so when she says that she's in someone's guard, I'm going to assume close guard, okay? So what is the deal when we talk about guard passing? So I'm here in Dania's guard, and let's say I used some technique, or she opened the guard for herself, and I managed to end up in an open guard situation here in which I'm passing. So what is my concern when we talk about guard passing, people? I have to make sure that I have my opponent's legs controlled. This is a mistake that a lot of people do. They are here and they want to go straight to side control without having the legs control, and now my opponent manages to put me back in the guard again. So it's very important that whatever technique I am using to pass the guard, I have to make sure that I go beyond my opponent's legs so I can control the upper body. For example, so I'm here with Dania, right? I am passing here with the Toriano. After I push her legs away, now I can go and start going for the upper body. If I don't do that, what is the issue? Let's say that I'm here with Dania. I went to the side. I tried to put the weight, put her leg is free. She's gonna manage to put the feet on my legs again and re-guard. Okay, another example that happens a lot. People go for the knee slice, I didn't control very well. She manages to put this knee in front of my body here. Okay, you can see that her knee, let's go to another here. So I'm passing with the knee slice, boom, she brings the shin in front of my body. While this leg is here, I'm not gonna be able to pass. Okay, if I try to go for the upper body, she's pushing me away. All right, so it's very important to clear this knee. Now that I cleared this knee, she can no longer use the legs. I had the legs control. Now is the time that I go for the upper body and I pass. Okay, so it's very important when we talk about guard. Passing is controlling the legs and then controlling the upper body. There will be a few exceptions, all right? But as a general rule, that's what we're trying to do with most positions. First, I want to make sure that my opponent cannot use the legs, and then I can go for the upper body to control the shoulder. Important for us to notice, lay down please, that hips and shoulders is what we're trying to control, all right? My opponent turns over the hip and over the shoulder. So as a general rule in guard passing, we first control the hips by controlling the legs, and then we control the shoulder to establish the position, all right? Doesn't matter if I control the legs, for example, I'm here, she's framing, and I'm not gonna be able to pass because I don't have the control of the shoulder. So it's very important to make sure that we control both, all right? So continue with the question. The other situation that she says is, sometimes I get to side control, but I just stay there for a long time because I don't know where to go from there, except for attacking Kimura. Okay, so let's talk about side control a little bit. They don't like this. So you're in side control, right? If you're managing to hold your opponent, that's already a really good thing. You're managing to control, and remember, people, that's a goal of Jiu-Jitsu, all right? Jiu-Jitsu is not about submission, it's about control. You get the submission because you have control. Again, not always, but most of the time, all right? If you have a control, there's no fighting anymore, okay? So I reached Dania's side control here. So from here, I have a lot of options. I can either attack her arms, I can attack her neck, or I can improve my position. From here, for example, I have knee on belly, I have mount. Depending on how she's positioned, I can take her back. So I'm gonna have a lot of options to work. Side control is one of the most strongest positions that we can get. What is important for us to keep in mind? Since you have so many options, it's important to use these options. Because, for example, you said about the Kimura. If you go, okay, I'm gonna answer those. So, if you go for the Kimura, but you're just attacking the Kimura, so let's say that I'm here, I'm gonna go for the Kimura. Dania knows that I'm attacking the Kimura. What Dania is going to do is defend this position. Right? I'm making too easy because the only thing that I have from here is a Kimura. But you can see that if she's defending a Kimura, there's a really big chance that she's not defending her neck, and I can take advantage of this and get into submission. Or if I'm attacking the Kimura, she's defending, she's making space for me to mount and improve my position. So it's important, whatever attack you want to do, make sure you connect with something else. So one sequence that I showed that's super basic, works really well, is this sequence between Americana and mount. So I'm here with Dania, she is framing, as she should. I'm gonna bring my wrist under her wrist. I'm attacking the Americana here. A lot of the time she's going to be extending the arm so I don't get the Americana right away, but she's making space for me to mount. As I mount, it's way easier for me to get the Americana. So this is a very simple sequence that you can get, and it has a really good result, all right? So this is something that you can try. But what is important for you to understand is, like most situations when we talk about Jiu-Jitsu, is to combine positions, okay? Make sure that you're not just trying to go to one thing, but to a bunch of others, okay? So Moving further. Question number 2. If I am in side control, how do I change into knee on belly without losing the pressure on my opponent? Okay, so we're gonna have later on. There's 3 situations that we can talk about here from the side control into knee on belly. Okay, first is I already have the cross face here on my opponent. I have the control, and if I want to go to knee on belly, and I can keep the shoulder, the cross face that I have, and simply bring the knee close to the hip and move into side control. Okay, let me show that sideways so you can see a little bit better. So I have the position, I keep my shoulder pressure here on my opponent's face and move to the knee on belly, and from here I can slide to the mount. All right, and I'm gonna have a very safe situation to get to knee on belly. This is very basic. What is important? That you don't give space to your opponent's hip. So when you move to the knee on belly here, you're gonna have the control. Make sure that your knee is here beyond your opponent's hip, and you're here. Bring the knee first, the other knee up, but you keep the pressure so your opponent doesn't get space. But let's say that you want to go for the knee on belly to attack your opponent. So a situation that happens a lot, people want to be postured because here they have entry to chokes, they can attack the arm, right? So if I want to go to this situation without letting my opponent move, there are 2 points that we have to focus. In the guard passing, I was talking that people, they turn over shoulder and hips. Okay, so those are the 2 points that I have to control. All right, because what is my concern? That my opponent hip escapes. So if my opponent hip escapes, my opponent has to turn the hip to that direction over there. So first thing that I'm going to do is place my hand here. Hip escape now, Dania. Okay, if I have pressure here, she's no longer turning the hip. All right, but what is the second concern that I have? That Dania turtles. All right, if I'm controlling here, I am preventing the hip escape from happening, but I'm not preventing her from turning to the other side and turning, and now I lost my side control. All right, so I let her go to a better position to defend. So 2 points that I have to focus. 1, the hip, so she cannot hip escape. 2, the shoulder. Try to go to turtle now. Okay, so if I have those 2 points controlled, my opponent is no longer turning. Remember, hips and shoulders. That's the important thing. So let's say that I want to go to knee on belly in a postured way. I have side control. I place one hand on the hip, one on the shoulder, come up, and now I have my knee on belly, and we can attack from here. Okay? This third situation that I want to talk about is a very common situation in which I go to the knee on belly so I don't lose the control. Because sometimes I'm going to be in the side control, my opponent is going to have both arms in, and it's going to start hip escaping. If I just try to hold Dania here, I'm not preventing her from getting her leg inside and getting the guard back. Okay, so I was here, come back here a little bit, Dania, so people can see. So I'm here with Dania, right? She manages to bring the arm in and the hip out. I bring the knee on belly so she doesn't get to bring her legs inside. So I brought my knee to block her legs and keep the control. So those 3 are very good options. See here? So again, I have the cross face, bring my hip up with the knee on belly. If I want to go to the knee on belly posture, okay? One hand controlling the hip, the other one controlling the shoulder, come up, have the control. My opponent couldn't move during my transition. That's important. Third one, Dania hip escape. She's about to get out of the position. Bring the knee on belly, come up, and now I have, again, a control position that I can keep attacking. Okay? Okay, Fabian, I'm going to answer your question quite soon. I have another question here before this, and then I go to yours. So the last question from Katarina was, what if there is a creepy, smelly guy in the gym and you can identify him in a conversation with your BJJ friends just by saying about someone who smells really bad, and people knows immediately who we're talking about. So this is a person who is commonly known from smelling bad, apparently, from having poor hygiene. How do you approach this? Should you tell me? Should you talk to the person? What is the best approach? So people, this is something that I'm going to say not just about this smelly person, but with most situations that you have like this. Could be someone who is not behaving in a good way as well. I would prefer you guys to talk to me about. All right, even though sometimes it's a lot of people and I have to take care of a lot of people, I prefer to be involved in situations like this because considering the situation that I am the trainer in the gym, I'm the black belt and stuff, this has I ended up having this role on the mat, and people are way more, how can I say, they accept way more what I tell them than what a white belt or blue belt is going to tell them. Sometimes if you tell someone, if you confront them about their hygiene, people are going to be offended. Whereas if I approach them, they are going to listen a little bit more because I have more experience. I'm the one in charge of that course, of the team and stuff. So what I tell you is, especially because if you guys ended up in this confrontational situation, this could affect in a bad way the environment of the gym, which is the worst thing that can happen. My entire goal is to keep the environment of the team as the best possible. So if you guys have any situation, someone didn't behave properly, someone is not taking care of the hygiene, sometimes I cannot be watching everyone. It's complicated for me because we became a lot of people, but please approach me, talk to me, and we're going to solve this. I'm going to talk to this person, and we're going to deal with that. Unfortunately, I had to deal with way worse situations. So if it's just someone smelling bad or someone was not okay, please talk to me, and I'm going to help you guys solve this situation. We already had confrontations on the mat, and this is never going to lead to anything positive. All right, if I talk to the person, we can even, depending on the situation, sit together and talk, but in a more, how can I say, controlled way. I think it's the best way. All right, so feel free to come to me with those issues. I'm gonna be happy to help you with that, so we avoid unnecessary arguments. Okay, so 2 more questions. Okay, everyone. So Fabian is asking, who are my favorite fighters and why? I'm gonna ask Fabian's question, and if you guys have any other questions, please write in the comments on the chat, and I'm gonna reply them, right, either today or tomorrow. But again, feel free to ask the questions if you have them. So my favorite fighters and why. So I would say my favorite fighter is Roger Gracie, especially because he makes everything super basic, super simple, and yet like no one else can do. You see him fighting against these top level people, the best guys in the world, and he's basically taking them down, passing the guard in the simplest way ever, getting them out, getting a cross-collar choke, and it is really impressive how he does this and how simple he keeps his positions. And I don't know, I thought about this a little bit, but after that fight against Buchecha, I mean, it's pretty clear that he's the best of all time so far. So other fighters that I like a lot, I like Lucas Lepri a lot, especially because of his technique. In terms of technique, of like seeing him fight, I think I have never seen someone so precise in a bigger range. Like Roger Gracie has a very specific game, and he's awesome in his game. But I see, for example, Lucas Lepre, he's good in every aspect, right? And he's super precise in his technique. And it's very interesting to see. So Marcelo Garcia is, of course, one of the most interesting guys, especially because he doesn't have this, how can I say, jiu-jitsu look, if there is one, but and he was also a really super technical, super aggressive guy as well. He was always looking for submissions. He was always working to get the sweeps. His butterfly guard is incredible. I had the pleasure of training with him. It was just overwhelming how good he can be. I mean, he treated me like a kid. So, and this is not as, I think he's 78 kilos and still super technical. And I think those three are my favorite. I would say Buchecha as well. Buchecha is also really good, especially because I'm a half guard guy and he's a really good half guard guy. So just to put in this last situation, I think Buchecha represents the half guard game in a really good way. So I would say those four. Roger, Lucas Lepre, Buchecha, and Marcelo Garcia are my favorite fighters. I think all of them are really, how can I say, they fight in an aggressive way. They're always trying to get the better position. They're always trying to get submission. So this is interesting to see people who are not just fighting for one advantage. I mean, and their technique are really clean. So I appreciate them a lot. Okay, thanks, Katarina. All right, people. So thanks for the questions, Katarina and Fabian. It was really fun answering them. I have time for one more question. And so if you guys have one more question, please feel free to ask them right now. Otherwise, this is going to be it for today. But I hope you guys have more questions because I like to use my time the best way possible. Do you have any questions, Dania?
I have one.
Okay, ask your question.
Can you show us your favorite sweep?
My favorite sweep? My favorite sweep is actually from half guard. So if you guys have any questions, you can write the questions still. I'm just going to show Dania my favorite sweep here real quick, and you guys can see a little bit as well. So since I am a half guard player, we're going to talk about half guard. Important for us to have half guard is the control of the leg and underhook. All right. And when I talk about underhook, people, I want to be effective with my underhook. What I mean effective, I need to keep my arm in the same line as my head. If I lower my hand falls. If I lower my hand falls. Okay. If you have a disconnection, if your head is here and your hand is all the way here, then you can simply bring her arm inside, from the outside, Weezer. Exactly. And if she pushes forward with the shoulder, she's going to start breaking my underhook. I like to be strong here. As long as I have my head and my arm in the same line, try to do that again, Dania. Okay, I'm going to have a better control right here. So as I have this position, I control the foot. I like to control the toes. Okay, people, if I control the foot, she can stretch the legs and I'm going to lose it. So I like to control the toes. And now that I have the underhook, I have her foot trapped. I just stretch my legs. So this foot goes in. I open up to break her base. And now I'm just going to do an exercise that we did many times in the solo drills. I'm just going to stretch my leg, go to the turtle, and now I'm already passing the guard, going to side control. So that's super basic. It is my favorite sweep. I showed that many times. I'm going to keep it showing for the rest of my life. I've been doing this since I was a blue belt, and I'm going to keep it.
Nice. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, people, do you have any other questions? feel free to ask him. And everyone, just to remind you, tomorrow is a holiday, but I'm still here. Okay, so if you guys have questions. Okay, so Fabian is asking, what is my advice on balancing working on your strengths and developing a game versus trying out new things, especially in the context of an athlete's development, white belt, blue belt competition? Yeah, so this is a complicated question. So I think that if you're good at something, work on this to be really good. So you see a lot of people, a lot of high-level people who have a specific game. Those guys that I talked about right now, all of them have a better position there, and this is going to be with everyone. And developing a game, it could be, for me, it was very natural. I ended up in half guard a lot. I felt comfortable, and I developed myself in this situation. All of us are going to have this position, but it is important for us also not to be crippled, and that's the thing. That's what the word that you search for is balancing. Okay, because the thing is, if for example I was only good in half guard, it would be very difficult for me to get good results, because if I don't know how to use open guard, if I don't know how to use close guard, if I don't know how to play on top, I'm going to end up crippled. I'm really good in half guard, but what's left? Because after I get the sweep from half guard, I still have to pass. Normally, most cases I don't end up on side control. My opponent ends up getting some guard, especially in a fight. Things don't usually go 100% the way we want, so we have to work on other stuff. So what is something that I've been doing a lot? So my strengths is something that I practice on people who are either on my level or better. All right, so this is something that I always have done. When I was training with people who are on the same technical level as I am, or better, I was just playing my A game. All right, it's a really good way to see if your A game is actually good. If you try them against people who are good and it works, okay? Developing new things. Try those on people who are not as good as you. Or sometimes if they're good, maybe someone who has a really big weight difference, and that makes it manageable for you to control them. So this is something that I've done, that I experienced a lot, and it worked for me. So I developed a lot of new things just by trying on people who are not in the same level. Why is that? Because I can tell this from experience. When I was in Gracie Muay Thai in Rio, I trained there for 5 years. The training was separate. It was between brown and black and white, blue, and purple. Were two different rooms. And every day I was rolling with brown and black belts. And I got really good in my game, in my half guard game. But every time I tried to anything new, I failed because those people were really good. The technique that I was trying, I wasn't good because it wasn't something that I was in control of, and they could shut down real easier, and I could not improve on that. If I try spider guard and someone removes their foot right away as fast as possible, you don't have the chance of trying this, and you're not going to be able to improve on it. So when I came to Germany, the situation was totally different. I basically had no one to train in my technique level. I had a lot of white and blue belts. So that's when I decided to try just new stuff, right? And this is something that made my jiu-jitsu improve a lot more. So having this balance, which most of you have in the gym, you're going to have people who are going to be controlling you and some people that you can control. And this is the opportunity that you can use. You're training against someone who is really good, who can overwhelm you. Make sure you use your A game, right? But you're training with someone who is not so good. Try something new. Use this opportunity. as you start getting confident in that new technique, then you can start transferring to this other person who can control you, who is technically better or in the same level as you. So this is very important. And another thing to develop is drilling. Drilling is a very good tool. I try to implement this, and we have the drill class. So try to drill as much as possible, because drill helps a lot with developing new stuff. Okay? So, Katarina and Fabian, thank you very much for the questions. Hope you guys have enjoyed. We're going to do that again tomorrow. And for the next weeks, people, as I said, we're trying to develop a new structure in order to keep you guys learning, to keep you guys motivated. I know that's not so easy. It's not so easy. It's not easy for everyone. For me, also, it's complicated because I'm trying to adapt to this new situation. But we're going to develop something interesting. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so Laura's happy to help. Okay, people, thanks again for tuning in, for participating. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone is safe. Hope to be with you as soon as possible. Dania, thank you very much for the help again, for being around. Guys, have a good evening. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.